All right, how about now? Now we're working. Mic is now working. All right, we should be on now. All right, guys, good morning. This is Jack Gleason from Major League Trading. It is 8 a.m. Central Time on November 8th, 2018, and this is a reminder to follow your rules and trade your plan. Let's begin this morning's breakdown here. As Perry had mentioned earlier, for anyone who caught that live stream, we do have FOMC policy statement with no press conference today. So there's going to be a two-session market. Overnight and in the morning at 5 a.m. we had EU economic forecast and 8:30 initial jobless claims. After the bell at 10:30 a.m. we're going to have the natural gas storage change, and at 2 p.m. the FOMC policy statement with no press conference. So that'll be the bigger event here later in the day. So for the trend biases, ES, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, all bullish. Let me just reload this. Overnight session, shorter term time frame here. We have ES bullish, NASDAQ bullish, Dow bullish, Russell bullish. And on the midterm time frame, the S&P is bullish, NASDAQ is neutral, Dow is bullish, Russell is neutral. And on the longer term time frame, ES neutral, NASDAQ neutral, Dow bullish, Russell bullish. Earnings events. Nothing major, but you can take a look at these guys after the bell, after the bell here today. ABTI, DIS, and SWKS. And then for our previous day's summary, the S&P 500. I will have to double check the audio later, but we're gonna have to do with this for now. But I'll mess with some settings later. For our previous day's summary in the S&P 500, guys, load this up. The bell-to-bell high, 28.15. The bell-to-bell low was 27.74. So there was a massive, massive rally yesterday on the back of the election results. 27.74 quarter. The settlement was 28.16 half. Value area high, 28.11. Value area low, 28.72. Point of control comes in at 28.14. And the European close, 27.88 half. Volume was 1.8 million contracts. Overnight high, 28.18. And then the overnight low here was, let's see, get that exact level. I think it's right around 28.01. 28.01 half. For our floor trader pivot points, support and resistance levels, guys, R4A gonna be way up here at 28.98, R3 28.70 quarter, R2 28.42.75, and R1 is 28.29 half. Pivot point for the day comes in at 28.02, S1 27.88.75, S2 27.61 quarter, S3 27.48, and then S4A 27.35. Yeah, guys, I will switch my mics, but now that I've started, I cannot switch them. So I'll have to switch it around, but it is what it is for now. Take a look here I'm going to start with the S&P 500. So the S&P 500 ran into basically the larger upside resistance level I had. Now 28.1675 was marked on the chart before I had actually left, and we ran right into that. I just kind of want to point out where this is. This is a major resistance level for me. We tagged it going into the end of the day. I'm gonna go to the daily time frame here. Let me get rid of this VWAP study. Kind of makes my chart a little noisy. But basically, this is a leg start down in the beginning of the sell-off from October 17th, which was our second leg down. So this is just taking a look at this chart, this is a major resistance level we've run into, as well as the full 61.8% retracement. So it's kind of a double double level there, that 28.15 half. I believe that was the regular trading hours high. We did end up settling a little bit above that, but that is a major resistance level for me. So what I would look for here, and one of the things I will do that I don't normally do is I'm just watching the regular trading hours session. So for whatever reason, this whole move up has had a more technical move using the RTH session. So I have my extended session turned off here. In the first support level I'm going to be looking for is in the S&P 500 is the extended session turned off. So Friday's high on November 2nd, that high to high. Right now that 38% retracement is 27.9375. So I'm going to go ahead and set an alert there. And I will look for that level to potentially come into as support. You can see I have that zoned off, and then below that the 50% retracement is 27.86. Now if we lose 27.86, then I really don't have any support for 30 points. So that would be a potential big move down that we could see. So 27.86 half, if we lose that, I have no support until that low of that Friday to high, and that brings us down into the gap fill at 27.58. So that could be a pretty big sell-off if that sequence does happen. I don't think that'll happen today, but it's something we can begin looking for. So right now, I want to continue to respect this 28.1675, 28.15 half level. I do think it's a major resistance in the S&P 500. We've had quite a run here. And then I would find it very hard for us to close above that level today. I do think we're going to see a little bit of a breather, but if we get above and we start holding, then I think we're going to rally really pretty strong. Moving on to gold. Right now, I am leaning to the bearish side of things. I have no support that I'm really aware of till the 12.15 half zone. I'm going to bring this across. That's a higher time frame, 50% retracement. It would be a second test. We had the first test 2 weeks ago on Wednesday. So I do want to throw an alert there. If I can get my thing to cooperate. Now the only thing that would change my opinion on this bearish buy, so my resistance zone, there is an extension here, and I'll share my levels for those of you guys who are MLT members. You'll get them in the MLT Discord. Unless we break back above like 12.30, I don't have any interest in pullbacks. There is the level we broke out of here at 12.20, so we can watch that for support, but it's very hard to confirm. We have, even though we have not really had lower highs, there's been lower lows 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row, which is kind of interesting because this is a wedge expansion. So we had a day, then we had an outside day, and then we had another outside day, which is pretty amazing. So you can see this high, the following day had a lower low and a higher high. Then we had this day, the following day had a higher high and a lower low. And now we have another lower low. So it's kind of just interesting the way this is forming. This is on the lower level of that trend line, but I don't typically trade trend lines. I'm only interested if we can break above 12.30 to the long side. Otherwise, I do think we'll continue down to the 12.15, 12.16 support level. Moving on to the Dow, same setup as the S&P 500. Like I said, I have my extended session turned off here. I have my extended session turned off. And I'm looking at the high of Friday drawn to high, that extension. So I have that level, and then once again, I'm going to go the low of that Friday as well. So those are the two significant points for me. I do need to readjust this level here. I actually believe I have that as a support too. I will leave that. That would be 25,599. That is a gap fill. That is a gap fill. So I do want to be aware of that. And I'll turn on the extended session just so you can see, but really the first level of support I have here is 25,925. That is the top level support here this morning, and it's that entire box because we are in extension. So the 50% and the 38% retracement, I would expect to have some sort of reaction. So 25,925 and 25,852. So those are the two levels I'm going to be watching here in the Dow, and hopefully those will trade here today. Now for the Nasdaq, the high of Friday, once again too high, and that gives us a 71.74. I believe this possibly already has traded. I have to double check here the overnight session. So it looks like, yeah, we've traded that 38% retracement, so we're right on this zone. Now this is the most aggressive market right now. This is the most aggressive draw because it is the smallest percentage change to pull back into to hold it. So this could be either the only market that trades or the first market to break. If we're really strong, it's going to be the only market that trades. If we're weak, it's going to be the market that breaks. So depending on the situation here, I'm just going to mark that up. Oh, that did not change colors. That's 71.74 in the 38% retracement and 71.58 on the 50% retracement. If that sequence breaks, I will have to I will look at a different sequence, but right now that's going to target up in a 72.56. If these lows hold and we stay above the 61.8, this will complete today. So we will complete 72.56 if this holds this morning. If it breaks, there'll be no completion. For oil, super aggressive to the downside here. There is a daily leg start that I'm looking at down at 60.87. I'm going to be an observer of that. We do have downside targets. There is an extension here in oil from the low of the 23rd of October to low, and that target's 60.26. I would say the only thing right now, I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of this rectangle actually and move that down. There is a, and Perry was talking about the way you adjust for contract changes. 60.05 is really the first level of support I would anticipate. There's plenty of resistance levels above, guys. I think oil has been one of the better trends to the downside, or one of the better trends in general here. I mean, if you look at really coming out of the highs that we had, this is a really consistent trend to the short side. So I'm going to continue to follow the trend, and I'm looking for short sequences. Now, the thing is, yesterday we basically traded the entry. Today, we'd have to have a retest. So right now, I would expect more of a completion of 60.26. I mean, if you're a really aggressive trader, there is opportunities to sell into the breakdown. I'm going to look at the full halfway back for the day, just to high the day to the low. That might trade, it might not trade. That right now would be 61.86. That would be the most aggressive thing I would look for, most aggressive entry I would look for to the short side, and that would, you know, just retrace back up to those levels. So that'll obviously adjust if we make a new low here, but other than that, I'm really just not interested in any longs at this point in time. We do have, you know, we've bounced off these levels multiple times, guys, but you can see how weak we are. I would not be interested for a flip of the trend unless we started getting bid above 64 in oil. So that's, you know, quite a ways away. Moving on to the Russell, and I think Perry had mentioned this, but the Russell's, guys, the Russell's basically the weakest market to the downside, and I do want to go back out to that higher time frame and just look at this weekly chart here. Turn on the extended session and be aware of a couple of levels. Oh, this is the one I wanted to be aware of. So I have a couple of anchors that never traded on the way down. I'm gonna have to go to a daily chart now, actually. A couple levels that never traded on the way down that we're probably finally gonna start coming into. The last traditional to trade before the Russell blew out into extensions. For those of you guys who are either in the fib course or have taken my boot camp, so you'll understand this, but the October 1st high to low is, oh yeah, you can see anytime I mark up it with an arrow, that's a potential anchor that could come into play. And this is my first time analyzing this. I've been traveling for the last few days. So 1584.6 has come into play. Once again, I do think we're at some higher time frame resistance levels. This would be the perfect point of a situation. I mean, we went out highs of the day. Something to think about, the recency bias going into today. Yesterday, we had the election, and we went out highs of the day, basically screaming short cover and rally. I had a major resistance level in the S&P that I anticipated for like literally 2 weeks. And then we also have a major level here in the Russell that I was anticipating. So I am not so much of a bull today unless we can really get through overnight highs. I think today is one of those days where a lot of longs will get trapped and we can pull deeper into some levels. So I'm going to mark up some of those levels that I think we can pull down into in the Russell. Now if we get a bit above highs, like totally regime change, there is this extension here. I do not really trust it on a first test. I would look for the same anchor new high, this higher time frame, deeper pullback. I want to see this deeper pullback here, and I'm going to measure that in the Russell, especially because you guys remember the Russell would be the weaker market here. That would bring us down to, get rid of a couple, 1553.9. So 1553.9, which basically is the lows, or the area we had broken out of. I think that'll be close to a gap fill too. So let me pull that up, highlight that area, 1553.9. This morning, the first thing I'll be really looking for is these extensions I currently have drawn to break. If they break, that's going to confirm my idea that we're going to get a deeper pullback. So bearish, if you're leaning to the bear side here today, the Russell I think is that index to trade, and if you are leaning to the bull side, I think the Nasdaq is the market to trade. Now, as far as trend continuation, to me, once again, the cleanest trend right here is oil, and these are my levels from this morning's trade plan. I will go over some currencies and any other questions you guys have in the MLT live stream for the day, but that's going to wrap up my morning trade plan, guys. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please give this video a thumbs up and do it every day because it really helps. Leave a comment, let me know your guys' thoughts, and if you're serious about learning to trade, check out any of our courses, and remember to pursue with passion, remove self-doubt, and succeed with effort. Everybody have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys for the morning power hour in the next video. Take care.